Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pittsburgh Pirates are playing like a good baseball team. That's right, the Pittsburgh Pirates are, at least as of now, playing like a good baseball team. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are now inching closer to maybe 500 on the season, which is kind of insane because many were predicting this team would be the worst in baseball. Many were predicting this team wouldn't win a series all year. Many were predicting this team would be well shy of 500, would be well under 500, and would be one of the worst teams from Jump Street. Not the case yet, and they're doing it without their superstar, their budding future face of the franchise, Ke'Bryan Hayes. The Pittsburgh Pirates win again as the Pirates now 6-8, winning 5 out of their last 7, I believe. This one a 6-1 win over the Milwaukee Brewers, who many did predict would be the class of the National League Central, a team that does have expectations to win this year, and a team that many think could be the division champion, but a Brewers team that now has a loss to the Pirates, and they need to fix things themselves. I'm your host here, Mike Asti, and this is a Pirates edition of Pittsburgh Postgame here on Pittsburgh Sports Live. I'm going to be with you a little bit to give you my takes and my thoughts of this game and wrap things up. No guest this evening. I don't have a guest for you this evening or any other colleague or crew member here throughout the Now family or here on Pittsburgh Sports Live, but it's been a couple days since we've done one of these Pirate postgame shows with the Penguins last night. A couple nights ago, I did offer a Pirates postgame edition, but wanted to give you one here. I was up, I was ready, I watched the game, wanted to give my thoughts, wanted to give one of these shows, guest or no guest. So again, Mike Asti, and subscribe, bottom of this video, as you can catch all of these postgame shows here throughout Pittsburgh Postgame on the Pittsburgh Sports Live channel whenever they go live, throughout any of our teams covered throughout the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of networks. And of course, whenever any other show, any other video, or anything at all gets released, goes live, or premieres here on the channel, hit that subscribe button. It'll help us get all that content to you immediately, and it's free to do so thanks to our sponsors. But again, the Pirates win it 6-1. They're now 6-8. They've now won 5 out of their last 7. That's incredible. I didn't think I would say those words really at any point this year. Again, this is a team that won opening day. And then I want you to understand, if you're just tuning into this Pirate season because you weren't expecting much and didn't want to tune in earlier, maybe you're tuning in even accidentally, was awful for a while. I mean, after opening day, and this included Ke'Bryan Hayes getting hurt in that opening weekend series against the Cubs, they lost that series, of course. And they weren't just losing after that. They were getting blown out. The Cincinnati Reds, who I didn't think much of coming into this year, beat up on Pittsburgh. They were getting blown out in some of those games. But since that time, not only have the Pirates been winning, and not only have the Pirates been playing relatively well, and now potentially at 500, maybe could win a series, and doing it without Ke'Bryan Hayes again, who, despite only a month of baseball under wraps last year and on his MLB resume, the best player on the team, the most talented player on the team, and the player they expected the most from on this team, hit a home run on opening day, and doing it without him. And I'll get to later on how they might get lucky on when he'll return. They don't want to upset the apple cart on this lineup when he does return, and how they can have him return without upsetting the apple cart too much. Because there's one player who can't come out of this lineup. I don't care about Hayes returning. And of course, Hayes returns, hits 2, plays third. I get it. That'll definitely happen. I'm not advocating that not happening because, again, this season overall doesn't mean much, despite how they're playing right now. It's not going to be a good year overall. I don't want to get crazy. I'm not marking here for the Pirates, but I'm just telling it how it is, giving my thoughts on this game as they do win this one. They win it again. I've won a lot of games I've covered so far this year, shockingly. But they were really, really bad for a while. They're now playing well, and not only are they playing well, and not only are they winning, and their offense kind of leading the way overall here, but they did have a really, really quality start here in this game by Brubaker. They're doing it against good teams. They're doing it against teams with expectations this year. And you could say maybe those teams are underachieving and maybe it's those teams' fault they're playing poor against the Pirates. And I get the Padres did not have Tatis Jr. in that game, who is another potential face of Major League Baseball and certainly their best player and their youngest best player. But they're still beating good teams. This is still a Pirate team that didn't have their star either. So Hayes wasn't there. Neither was Tatis. That evens things out, to say the very least. And the Pirates were able to get those victories, now getting this win over the Brewers as well. And again, this is a Pirates team that many question marks entering the season. Brian Reynolds was not good last year. Yes, he was good 2 years ago. So far showing you he's more of 2019 than he was 2020. And even if he doesn't hit like he did 2 years ago with doubles every other night, still, he's providing solid offensive production, showing you he can be a serviceable player and maybe be that Robin to Hayes' Batman at some point for the future of this franchise. That's a key. Frazier hitting, that's a key, an underrated force. I've not mentioned him actually on post-game shows. He's not got that much publicity. Everyone focusing on Reynolds hitting, Colin Moran hitting, Phil Evans hitting, Hayes, of course, being out of the lineup, and the pitching occasionally, getting some starts and longer appearances from some of these starters than happened earlier in the year that you would even assume. But give it up. Frazier, Newman, Jacob Stallings, who I do mention, I think he's an unsung hero of this team. Not incredibly much tonight, but unsung heroes to this team all year to this point, for sure. For sure. And Frazier hits in this game. So Frazier giving you, Frazier 2 hits. That's what I thought. So 2 for 5 in this game, a run, 2 driven in. Evans only 1 for 5, but again, he's been raking so far this year, hitting .326. Brian Reynolds 1 for 2 with a run scored, a run driven in. He walked twice, though, so that's big. Colin Moran 1 for 3. As Colin Moran goes yard, yet again, him and Evans have been those boppers. They have been the only power production for this lineup because even with that 7-run inning a couple games ago, it was Chinese water torture, as my guest Mike Persak said on that show. It just was single. And now they're doing it with a few home runs mixed in as well. That's why you can't take them out of the lineup. Fowler's not doing much. Newman's not doing as much as you would like. Polanco hitting now over 200, so he's not been doing anything overall on the year. I was ready to give up on him for a while, I'll admit, despite the price tag that's on him. But as Persak did tell me again, he had that 3-tier path as the hitting coach trying to correct his swing, and he's going to get at least through part 3 and then some. He apparently was only on 2 last week. I don't know where he is now. I got to ask him that when I have him back on the show. But hit a home run in this game, late in the game. Thought he was going to go hitless again. But hitting in this game and able to get contact on the ball. That's the key here. Even if he only gets 1 hit and it's a home run, even if it's not a home run, even if it's a double or a single or freaking flies out, he's made more contact recently than before. The first 2 weeks of the year, he was flailing around. He was swinging at nothing. It was flat out embarrassing. But to this point, he's been making contact the last week or so. And you got to give it up to him there. So he's fighting out of it. He's going to get playing time because of the $11 million price tag. They also, I will sell this to Pirate fans, him hitting is a great thing for the franchise for the future, but not because all of a sudden you should get excited about Gregor Polanco and then he's going to be on the team next year or he's going to be part of the future. You should want Polanco to hit so they can get value for him and he can be traded midseason. Worst case offseason. Polanco's not going to be part of the future no matter what. And it was reason to believe he was never going to hit again, honestly. It was a year and a half of him struggling and not hitting. And the sluggish start he had to the opening part of this year, he was hitting .71 at one point. That's why the average is only .200 something, too early 200s, even with him hitting in this game, even with a home run in this game. Okay, his average barely over 200. So that shows you where he was earlier in the year and how bad he was. And the whole lineup was really, really bad for a while. And this team has been carried recently thanks to the offense. So that's a key point here. That's a takeaway for me in this game. Of course, the offense continuing to carry the load. But a major takeaway and really the headline, JT Brubaker. Okay, 6 innings, which is incredible for a Pirate starter to give you that many innings. That's not common at all. We've seen what Chad Poole's put together. We've seen other Pirate starters barely getting through the fourth inning. JT Brubaker giving you 6 full innings, 1 run allowed, 4 hits. Here's a key. Goose egg. There's a donut for you. Get a donut tomorrow morning to commemorate. And spell it the right way, DOUGHNUT. But get a donut to commemorate JT Brubaker, Pirate fans, because that was a donut in the walk column. No walks allowed and 8 strikeouts. So here's a take for you. And we are only a few weeks into the season. And by the way, if you do chat along with me, I will certainly welcome them. We don't always get to them on these shows, but no guests for this evening. So it's going to be my takes unless you chat along. Feel free to enter the chat. Feel free to join the chat and feel free to chat along. I will tell you that I'm going to offer a hot take right now, whether you chat along or not. I'm going to tell you that JT Brubaker, I've already seen enough. I've already been liking it enough. I've already seen enough to be able to say one thing, and this is key. I've already been able to say now that JT Brubaker should immediately be put into the number 1 spot in this rotation. I know Chad Kuhl started opening day. I get it. I know he was great 2 years ago, but then, of course, had the serious injury, had the Tommy John. His parents hadn't seen him throw a baseball because of last year's pandemic season and only had a few starts mixed in there until this year. It was 2 years for them. He's not been good. Not only has he not been good, he's not gone deep enough into games. You're looking at barely over 3 innings, 4 innings at the maximum. Even if your ace, and of course the Pirates don't have an ace, I'm not even going to call Brubaker that yet, and he's very, very young, of course. But even if your number 1 starter isn't winning games, because figuring this team wouldn't hit enough, figuring this team's bullpen would blow some games, figuring the starters wouldn't be good enough on an overall rotation and this team would lose 100 games. And yes, they're winning to this point. They won 5 out of the last 7 against good teams without Hayes. But knowing the Pirates, they could start losing when Hayes returns. Would that shock you? Would that shock me? Of course not. And they're 6-8 on the year right now, almost 500. So that's good. It's hard to right now, if you're a Pirate fan, be upset unless you want the team to be horrible, unless you want the first overall pick. Those things maybe are not going to occur. And I actually said in our morning show, as we previewed this season, that the Pirates are going to be really, really bad this year, and they still are going to be really, really bad this year. This is going to be a bad year. This is a 2010 equivalent for the next rebuild now under Ben Cherington. But they're probably not going to lose 100 games. I do think they're better than losing 100 games, and they're not the worst team in all of baseball. There are worse teams than the Pittsburgh Pirates. And right now, that's been evident. Unless they really collapse, the Pirates are probably not finishing as the worst team in all of baseball. And they have had hitting. They have had some players step up and hit more than even last year, who they expected a lot out of. Brian Reynolds, again, in particular. This is happening right now without Hayes. Phillips still hitting. He hit last year, but now a larger sample size. Carl Moran also hitting, picking up where he left off last year as the power bat. We'll see if that continues. We'll see if one or the two of them can do it for a full year and hit 20, 25 homers. That's what you didn't think you're getting out of this lineup. You didn't think you're having power, but right now they have a couple boppers. We'll see. The rest of them right now, they're giving you enough, really, but you want more from some others. And Frazier, again, unsung hero to this point. Same with Stallings, but you want more from Newman, who's now hitting below 200. Been in a little bit of a decline and a dip for him recently. But this team is going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. They're not going to be the worst for me, but one of the worst. Probably last place in the division still. I think the Cubs are still better than them once Chris Bryant and company turn it on and Rizzo turns it on. They weren't hitting well when they played against the Pirates, with the exception of Bryant on a couple at bats. So, and they won a series against Pittsburgh already. They're probably going to be better than Pittsburgh. They might trade all their players, but you want Polanco to be good just to get traded. You still want this team not to be that great, and you want to get value for some of these hitters, some of these veterans, maybe, again, Polanco mid-season. Those moves are still going to be made. But JT Brubaker, to me, is pitching so well. He's clearly somebody you want to keep seeing more of and could be largely part of your future. But why not move him into the 1? What do you have to lose? I'm not saying Chad Kuhl is off this team. I'm not saying Chad Kuhl isn't a starter, and maybe I know Geica thinks you throw him in the bullpen. Maybe you fix it there. It happened with the Hall of Famer and John Smoltz after that injury. Maybe that is the answer. Maybe you throw him in the bullpen, but maybe you take the pressure away too and make him the 3, 4, or 5 starter. Because honestly, on a good team, that's what he would be at best. He'd be a 4 or 5. He probably would be a reliever. He would never be opening day starter, and he was the last opening day starter named for a reason. But JT Brubaker has been pitching like he deserves the one spot. He's been pitching well. His ERA is below 2 for crying out loud. 6 innings again, 1 run, 4 hits, 0 walks, and 8 strikeouts. And again, this is another quality start for JT Brubaker. Quality starts are few and far between for this Pittsburgh Pirate team. And I also will tell you, even while the team's been winning recently, even while they've been winning 5 out of their last 7, even though they're 6-8 right now, even though they played well against the Padres, a team with hype, and right now getting a win to open up this series against the Brewers, and doing it without any days off this week. They're literally not getting a day off at all this week and are not going to be off again until Monday, which will give them a full 7 days consecutively of playing baseball, not normally a normal trend. Normally, you at least get a day off for travel. They went from PNC Park to Milwaukee, no days off there. Not too crazy far of a trip, but still rare for a baseball team. And they're trying to get all these games in during a pandemic season. I get it. But overall, again, no days off. So all of that's great. All of that's a testament to these young kids to this point, playing for themselves, playing whatever. But JT Brubaker, to me, is the headline of this game. A 6-inning start because they weren't even getting it, even when this team was winning. They won a game Chad Kuhl started, and he barely got to 4. So the Pirates have been winning thanks to their offense. That's a story that's been a story. They've been winning thanks to the offense. And if things worked well for some of these hitters like Reynolds, that was really what they were going to have to do this year. I don't think that's too unsurprising. That's not too crazy for them to be best offensively in any facet of their game. Okay, that's what's happening. The Pittsburgh Pirates right now are winning games thanks to the offense mostly. But they've had some decent starts. Most of them, though, from JT Brubaker again. So JT Brubaker, to me, should be moved in that one rotation. When you let this tinker, you don't move things anymore. You get out of this rotation now, and then maybe you miss a start to get back into things. Get him in the 1 slot. Make him the stopper. Get him in the 1 slot. Move things around. Move Cole down because he's not been getting it done at all. Tyler Anderson a little better than Chad Kuhl, but it's not like he's setting the world on fire. And get Brubaker his due. I know it's early. I know he's young. I know that easily the next 2 weeks he could suck. And okay, if he does, no big deal. Because again, this year's not about the postseason. You might not like hearing this, but this is not a pennant-winning season, obviously. This is the beginning of a rebuild. They're going to suck for the next couple years, too. They're going to suck next year, the year after that. Very likely. You want some individuals to perform this year, to be able to trade them, to get value for them. Polanco, again, in particular, you want him to play well, to be dealt. You're not going to be keeping Polanco long-term. But you want to see a maturation process from Hayes, and we haven't seen that yet because of the injury, but you want to see him go from a month of greatness to a full season, facing these pitchers more often. Can he actually be the next McCutchen in the face of this franchise? You want to see Reynolds be more of 2 years ago than he was last year, which so far we have. You want to see somebody emerge as a power home run hitter, and right now it's been Moran, right now it's been Phil Evans, and they have to find a way to keep Phil Evans in this lineup. I don't care where you put him. I don't care if you put him in the outfield. That's been brought up by some guests I've had on the cover of this team. I don't care if you put him in the outfield. I don't care where the hell you put him. You're not going to win the pennant this year, obviously. You're going to, sacrifice defensively by having him out there. His bat's too good the way he's been hitting. You got to have Phil Evans in this lineup. You got to have him hitting. He even provides protection for the rest of the hitters, helps Moran out even if he's not hitting. Phil Evans has done a lot for this lineup overall. You got to keep Phil Evans in there, come hook or crook. You got to find a way to keep Phil Evans in the lineup. Hayes returns. Hayes plays third. Hayes goes to the number 2 spot. 3, 2, 3. He got to be there. However you want to work it. Now, Derek Shelton is fortunate to have interleague play coming up. So after Milwaukee, it's 2 back-to-back road series against American League teams over there. Minnesota Twins, Detroit Tigers. Not great teams either. Teams you can maybe beat if you're beating these teams recently. So if Hayes returns then, and I don't know, we don't know. I haven't heard it from anybody telling me who does cover the team on a beat. So it should be soon. It was only a 10-day trip. He's already actually over that period of time. It should be soon on the return from Hayes. And by the way, I'm going to close up shop here. Didn't get any chatters yet, so I'm going to close things up. If you do want to chat in, maybe another couple minutes here as I close things. But again, you got to find a way to keep Phil Evans in this lineup. You got to find a way. You got to find a way. I don't care where he has his glove. And unfortunately, you can't have the DH in the National League. I wish you could, by the way. There should be the universal DH. Not the case yet. But against American League teams on the road, and then it's Kansas City, by the way, AL team, but at home. But against American League teams on the road, so against the Twins, against the Tigers coming up here after this series against Milwaukee, you can have Evans DH. You have Hayes return if he's healthy. You put him in the lineup, obviously. You give him his glove back, and you have Evans DH. Or if Hayes is not fully healthy, you don't want to rush him back. Obviously, he's the future of your franchise. But if you feel more comfortable with him DHing and letting Evans continue this, because it hasn't been an atrocity, he's not ruined any games, flashing leather, even though he's obviously not as good as Hayes overall, then you do that. But you find a way for Evans back to stay in the lineup, even with Hayes returning. And I know some are bringing up, you kick Polanco out of the lineup. Well, guys, I would have been down with doing that. And he obviously is hitting better now, making more contact. So maybe now it's less of an argument. But again, to be fair, it's just not going to happen. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know. But here's three things that need to happen. When Hayes returns, obviously he comes back in the lineup. I don't think Polanco should come out of the lineup right now because you got to let him beef up his value a little bit. And it's also just not going to happen based on what I'm hearing, based on this 3-part series to find a new swing and fix the swing. You got to let him get through that. Then you give up on the guy if he still ends up sucking or if he has another 2 weeks of swinging and missing at every pitch. Right now, he's making contact. He has shown talent in the past, borderline all-star in the past. And again, he's important. You want him to hit because you want to showcase the value. You want to get something for him rather than just letting him go and being done and realizing that was an L. And Phil Evans got to stay in the lineup. So the Pirates win it 6-1. They get this victory over Milwaukee. They start off this series with a win, looking for a series win. They're now 6-8 on the year. This is a team that's now approaching 500, despite not having their best player in Key Brian Hayes. Question marks around Hayes' return. But coming up on the road against American League teams, Kansas City after that, but Detroit and Minnesota on the road. Those are two AL teams. That will allow the DH. That'll make it easier for that period of time and see what you got then. I still would do it after, but you got to keep Phil Evans in the lineup even when Hayes returns. Got to have Moran in the lineup even when Hayes returns. And they're not going to kick Polanco out because of this system, especially while making contact. You want him in there too to showcase. So you got to figure that out. Certainly got to figure that out. Brubaker got to be the one. He is your one. He is your quote-unquote ace, even though you don't have one. An ERA of below 2 for crying out loud. As I'm just going to get this for you, even though you can look it up yourself, just because it's so ridiculous. So JT Brubaker right now, again, 1 run allowed, 4 hits, 0 walks, and 8 Ks in this game, 6 innings pitched. Now a 1.76 ERA. That is ace stuff. He pitches like that, he is one. He's a fantasy gem, even though this team is, again, going to be bad. Even though they've been winning recently, they're going to be bad. I wouldn't be shocked. You wouldn't be shocked if they start losing when Hayes returns. That's the Pirate way. Wouldn't surprise anybody. But Reynolds hitting is big for the future. You got to find a way to keep Evans in the lineup whenever Hayes returns. Maybe you have the luckiness of having those AL opponents on the road, and Brubaker got to be your number 1. That's all my takeaways from this game. No guest on this one, but we'll have more guests coming up. Wanted to give you a Pirate show since I had the time and watched the game. Pirates now 6-8 on the year. They win 5 out of their last 7. Again, incredible stuff. A team predicted to be last, worst in baseball. They're not going to be the worst team in baseball. They're still going to be bad. They're still maybe going to be last. I still think the Cubs will be better than them. But they beat a Brewers team that many thought would be the best in the division, would be a playoff team, could win a pennant, could be really, really good. Not the case to this point. We'll see how the rest of this series plays out, though. Things can always change around the Pirate parts. Want to make sure to let you know again, hit that subscribe button to make it easier for us to get all of our content to you, and it's free to do so. Thanks to our sponsors throughout the network. The Pirates win it 6-1 over the Milwaukee Brewers, now 6-8 on the year, and winning 5 out of their last 7. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what I just saw. Hayes, when will he return? We will find out. But either way, JT Brubaker is a man. He's a stud, a 1.76 ERA right now on the year. He is your number one. He is your ace. Figure out the lineup. Got to keep Evans there when Hayes returns. And this team winning thanks to offense. No pitcher doing this to this point. Only one man is doing it. And only one man throwing those quality start gems, those 6-inning gems out there. And it is JT Brubaker.